What's happening guys, GT5K101 here and welcome to my review for the 2014 Australian Grand Prix. Sorry it's been a bit late of an upload, I've been busy since the Grand Prix so I had no chance to upload this review video, but now we've got the time, here it is. So yeah, it's been a week since the Grand Prix and got a lot of things, well, not a lot of things, but a few things have happened since then. The biggest news was that Daniel Ricciardo, who got disqualified after finishing second in his first race with Red Bull and in his home Grand Prix, got disqualified for apparently using too much fuel. The rules, because they've got a new fuel flow meter which measures how much fuel the car uses, and according to the rules and regulations, they are only allowed to use 100 litres of fuel per hour. And apparently the Red Bull are using a lot more, using more fuel. They were exceeding this limit, and therefore, which means that they were using more fuel in the car, which meant that Daniel Ricciardo had a little bit of a disadvantage, well, a little bit of an advantage over the other teams, which meant that he could drive faster. He could drive faster for longer. So he didn't really have to do that much fuel saving. So Ricciardo got disqualified, and Red Bull will be appealing with this. They're going to be going to court, actually. They're going to be going to court to appeal this decision. And Ricciardo got disqualified, and I think it's around about 3 weeks, around about that 14th of April. So yeah, but around about 3 weeks. Is it? I don't know. Just over 3 weeks, I think. So it'll be quite interesting to see what happens. That because I think it's a big shame that Ricciardo disqualified, because obviously it's his home Grand Prix, and also he worked stupendously hard throughout the weekend to earn this position, and unfortunately his team, I think, yeah, his team pretty much let him down again. And hopefully we won't see the same way Red Bull treated Weber over the past few years. Hopefully they won't use the same treatment on Ricciardo. But anyway, the race winner was Nico Rosberg in the Mercedes, who finished 26 seconds ahead of Kevin Magnussen. That's pretty much Sebastian Vettel pace last year. Mercedes has been pretty strong with reliability. Well, actually, I shall not say that, because Lewis Hamilton retired isn't it? Yeah, 2 laps after the start of the race because of a misfiring engine. Apparently, one of his cylinders wasn't firing properly, was misfiring, which pretty much means that the cylinder isn't firing properly and is not firing at all, which means pretty much he lost 1/6 of his power. So he probably could have kept on going, but obviously one, he had less power than others, so he was pretty much a big disadvantage. And two, his engine could be damaged as a result of this, and he would use up one of his 5 engines that he's allowed this year. So they had to stop him. And apparently Sebastian Vettel had the same problem as well. I think it's the same problem. He had the engine problem anyway, and he retired a lap later, and he was pretty angry with the team. So give him more power, give him more power. But you know, Red Bull can't help him all the time, and so obviously in this case they went in the power to help him. Yeah, so this could be a big thing. Hopefully they won't use one of the engines. According to FIA, they are allowed to fix the engine, but only do little minor things. You're not allowed to do major things like opening the whole block and replacing pistons and that kind of stuff. Well, they probably are, I don't know, but they can't do major things like that. If they have to, then they have to use up an engine. They have to get rid of that engine, dispose of it, and open up a new one, which means going on to their second engine already. And obviously the engines have to do high mileage. At least each engine has to last at least four or 5 races, round about that, until they can use another engine. Because 19 races this season, I think. Yeah, 19 races, 5 engines. So you could say that they have to do 4 or 5 races each engine. So yeah, that's pretty much quite a big challenge for the teams. I mean, last year they had the same, well, they had 8 engines actually last year, so obviously they didn't have to, they weren't in the same pressure. They didn't have to be pressured to do this. Each engine had to do at least 2 or 3 races, and that'd be it. But obviously 5 engines in an engine that pretty much the teams have no idea what it's about. It's going to be a bit of a challenge. McLaren did very well. Kevin Magnussen finished third. Well, technically finished second after Ricciardo's disqualification, and Jenson Button finished third. So McLaren 2-3 on the Australian Grand Prix, which means that they are leading the constructors. I never thought that would be happening last year, didn't you? I mean, they never achieved a single podium last year. It was one of their worst seasons in their history. Um, so yeah, I'm very happy to see McLaren back on the top, and hopefully we can see McLaren drivers win a few races this year. And yeah, it's going to be a very interesting season to see what happens with McLaren. It's the last season with Mercedes before they move to Honda next year, and I'll be looking forward to see what the Honda engine will be like. So yeah, it'll be very interesting. Fernando Alonso finished fourth in his Ferrari. He was pretty much on his own throughout the whole race. Never really looked up a lot what he did, but fourth isn't too bad. Pretty much the same as what he was last year. So yes, if he stays fourth consistently, then who knows, it could be pretty strong for him. Fifth is Valtteri Bottas. I think the driver of the race. He finished fifth in the Williams. A very good performance from the Williams. He was running about 2/10 slower than the Mercedes or Nico Rosberg, who set the fastest lap. It shows that Williams will have a very strong season this year. In fact, and Valtteri finishing fifth means that he's got 10 points so far, which means that's more than the amount of points Williams got last year. I think, isn't it? I believe so. But that just shows how bad Williams was. The worst season in 2013 in their history, and Valtteri Bottas just saying to all the critics, 2014 won't be the same. We will fight, and I think Williams will have a pretty good chance of taking on the World Championship. Sixth, Nico Hülkenberg in the Force India. He's back in the Force India. Pretty good, had a pretty good pace. He was nearly 1 second faster than Nico Rosberg. And yeah, sixth place isn't too bad. Was the first drive in his Force India since 2012. Seventh, Kimi Räikkönen has returned to Ferrari. Ferrari isn't really doing too bad. I mean, well, they could be doing better if they want to fight for the championship. Obviously, they didn't have that much time for to test performance throughout testing, but it's not all about performance. I think it's more about reliability this year. But anyway, we'll see what happens in Malaysia next week. 8th and 9th was by the Toro Rossos. Pretty good drive from them, and Daniel Kvyat and Jean-Eric Vergne. Kvyat finished 9th in his first race in Formula 1, which is pretty good. Nice 2 points in his first championship. So yeah, quite happy for him. Toro Rosso's back with the Renault. Well, not back with Renault, with Renault for the first time. They were with Ferrari, and it might have been a bad move in terms of reliability, but who knows what will happen. And 10th is Sergio Perez in the Force India. Pretty much McLaren pace as last year. And yes, not doing that good for Sergio Perez. 11th and 12th, Sauber isn't really doing that good either. I mean, they're missing the pace. I'm missing the pace that they had a few seasons ago. I think in 2012 they had really good pace then, and also 2013 as well. The pace is just going down the drain. 11th, 12th, Adrian Sutil and Esteban Gutierrez. Biggest surprise, 13th and 14th is Max Chilton and Jules Bianchi of Marussia. Ahead of Caterham, Lotus and Red Bull. They are ahead of Red Bull. Well, obviously they wouldn't be ahead of Red Bull because of Ricciardo didn't get disqualified, but yeah, since he's disqualified, Marussia is ahead of Red Bull. Quite a big surprise. Be funny if this continued on throughout the whole season, but yeah, it'll be quite fun to watch. And yeah, they're not doing too bad. They're ahead of Caterham, which is their main arch rival, if you want to say, in this season. And hopefully they'll have a few good performances this year. 15th and 16th is Roman Grosjean and Pastor Maldonado. They retired. with engine problems. Don't really know what engine problems they had, but it was a big shame for them. They deserve. Lotus obviously deserves to be faster. They deserve to be fighting for the top. But their reliability throughout testing and throughout this week, no, throughout this weekend, I mean throughout Australian weekend, wasn't that good. Marcus Ericsson retired because of engine problem. I've mentioned Sebastian Vettel, Lewis Hamilton. They finished classified 18th and 19th. 20 is Felipe Massa. 21st is Kamui Kobayashi. Not a good place to start his return into Formula One. It was quite a weird start to the race actually. Kamui Kobayashi complained that he had no rear brakes because of his gears. His gears wasn't working. The gears relies on the braking from the gears takes the kinetic energy given off the brakes, turns it into electricity and stores it into the batteries to provide an extra boost to the engine. And if the gears doesn't work, then there's quite a dramatic drop of braking performance at the back. So he complained that there wasn't a lot of braking coming from the back, and he locked up his fronts and went right, and he just T-boned Felipe Massa at the start of the race, and there was quite a big impact actually. But luckily both drivers are okay. But I just wanted to say something. I mean, obviously the FIA decided that the noses were too high, and they were thinking that would be a pretty big chance of a driver getting hit on the side of his head by a front nose in a T-bone crash. Sorry about the moment. And they decided to lower the nose quite dramatically, so it's pretty much similar to the 2009 Braun and the 2009 McLaren. And I saw that it was quite weird. I think this hasn't worked, to be honest, because when Kobayashi hit Massa, Massa's car went flying up in the air as if like you know, you're digging. As if literally scooped under Massa's car. Massa went flying up in the air. Well, not went flying up in the air, but he went up in the air. And is this a really good idea? Because if he kept on going, then Massa's car would have kept on sliding across Kobayashi's car and hit Kobayashi. And I think this is quite a big fault from the FIA for doing this. I mean, is this really the safest option? I mean, I think this probably is going the other way around. I mean, like if you think about it, it's a balance. They went too balanced. The noses were too high, so they went the other way. Now the noses are too low. They haven't found the perfect balance to make sure that the noses are safe. For me, I would recommend the FIA to go to either 2010 noses or the 2012 noses. But they even said that the teams should lower their noses in 2012, but in 2013, I think because of the new vanity covers on the noses, which pretty much covered the little ugly platypus style noses, the stepped noses. But the teams completely ignored this in 2013 and went completely high with their noses. So it's quite weird how they managed to completely ignore the FIA in 2013. But yeah, I think it was a pretty big flaw from the FIA, and hopefully they will be looking into this throughout the whole season, and hopefully won't have that many incidents which this sort of crash occurs. So yeah, that pretty much is the end of this review video. Malaysia is next as one of the biggest races in terms of humidity, so this will test the engine in terms of humidity. It'll be tough for the drivers as well, and hopefully it'll be a very interesting one, just like Australia. So yep, that's the end of this review video. Thanks for watching, guys. Like and subscribe. It's been GT5King 101, and I shall see you later.